Good afternoon. Welcome to the press conference for The Square, showing in competition at the 70th Cannes Film Festival. We're delighted to introduce our guests, starting at the far end of the table with Philippe Baubert of the co-production office, who produced the film, as well as Ruben Ōstlund's previous feature, Force Majeure, which is also known as Snow Therapy. He's produced any number of other films that have been shown in Cannes, including Ulrich Seidel's Paradise Love in competition, Christy Puiu's Aurora, and Gaspar Noé's Enter the Void. Next to him in the role of Michael, Christopher Laesso, who we've seen in the much-lauded series that helped launch the Nordic noir wave, The Bridge. One of his colleagues from The Bridge, Claes who plays the role of Christian, he won a Silver Bear for his performance in the film A Soap.
No.
Yes,
The film won. The film won.
You won it. Only you, Claes.
That is fucking with the truth, I think.
So modest.
That is fucking with the
it's
truth.
okay. It's Cannes. You can lie.
Okay, if I won it, they didn't give it to me. I haven't got it. So will someone please return it to me if they have it?
We'll clear that up. I apologize. The scriptwriter and director, Ruben Ōstlund. This is his fourth film to premiere in Cannes after Force Majeure, Play, and 2014's Involuntary, which won the Un Certain Regard jury prize. That did win the prize, we're sure of that. This is a big year in Cannes for our next guest. Elisabeth Moss plays Anne, the TV journalist, and of course she can also be seen in Cannes this year in Jane Campion's series Top of the Lake, China Girl. She's also currently to be seen in the Hulu TV series The Handmaid's Tale, and she's won several Screen Actors Guild Awards for her performance in Mad Men. Elisabeth Moss. Dominic West plays the artist Julian in the film. He won a BAFTA Award for Appropriate Adult and also a Screen Actors Guild Award for Chicago. And of course, he starred as Theron in 300.
Yes.
Finally, the film's other producer, ERIK Hemmendorff, who with Ruben Ōstlund started the production company Platform Films that have produced all of Ruben's films, starting with the 2005 short autobiographical scene number 6882. He also co-wrote that short, as well as Ōstlund's play and other films. I will take questions if you have any.
Oh, hello. I'm Jack Morvan from the Times of London. A question for Dominic. If you met someone like your character in real life, the artist, how would you respond to them? And was there anyone, or were there people who influenced how you played it?
That's a tricky one. I have met him. God, I should have worked out an answer to this. What would I do if I met someone like that? Well, I'd be pretty scared. I think they're quite scary, those guys. You know, the invincibly knowledgeable artists who can't be disputed because they're talking about art, which is something that there is no sort of what's the word? Empirical level. You know, there's no definitive answer to. So I would be quite scared of meeting anyone like that. Also because they're so powerful and so rich. We had a few people in mind. Yeah, we had a few people in mind, and a lot of the interview that we filmed was taken from various interviews with great international artists, who we looked at in great detail. I can't remember their names, but I'm sure you can guess. My clothes give it away.
And the name, perhaps, as well.
And yes, the name. But I don't know if the name.
Slight hint in the name, I'd say.
Try to spell it backwards.
We have a question on the other side, please. Yes.
Yes, hi. My name is Marcus, and I'm from Sweden. First, I want to congratulations to Ruben Ōstlund for having a movie here in Cannes.
Another movie here in Cannes.
Yeah, another movie here in Cannes. My first question is to Ruben. Before you start making the movie, you probably had a sense of how the movie should turn out. But after the movie, did the outcome was as you expected? And the second question goes to both Elisabeth Moos and Claes Bang. How has it been to working with Ruben on this project?
Well, I think it's always when you have an idea about a film, and for me, I'm basing the film on very clear situation and very clear scenes, and you have an expectation how good will this scene be when we are shooting it and when we are editing it, and some of the scenes are like raising above that expectation, and some are like on the level of the expectation, and I would say that I'm quite happy with all the scenes in general, and then the film in itself, I mean, for me, it was a different film than, for example, Force Majeure, that have a super clear setup, and then we just dig ourselves into that film through that setup. And this time it was a little bit more different layers. So I was a little bit scared of that, you know, how to deal with all these layers. And will there be like a solid one red thread and feeling of the film? And I was super, super happy when I was like reaching 75% of the editing or something, because then I realized, okay, this will work. It will actually fit together, and it will make a solid film out of it. So yes, I must say that I'm happy about the film.
And the actors?
Yeah. Will you say something or should I say something?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I will say working with Ruben has been amazing. It's been exhausting, inspiring, tiring. I mean, this is a quite demanding kind of guy here next to me. And he works his actors really hard. 70 takes is probably an average. I would also say that this has been probably, because he allows you as an actor so much space, and he allows you to bring so much of your own into it, or your, so that's been such a pleasure. But I mean, I think we shot for something like 70 days, and I was there for 68, and I was quite tired when the shooting was over, because you are demanding, I'd say.
And fun.
And funny also. And at one point, really, that was really, there's a speech in the film, and we did probably at least 100 takes of that speech, and around take 95, he drags me down to the monitor, and he points to the monitor, and he says, now, this is going to stop. I'm not going to have any more of that shitty television acting that you're doing. Now, you pull yourself together, and you do it for real. You remember that?
I don't remember that.
That was like a kick in the head. Because I was bleeding hard out of every opening in my body. But no.
Thank God I didn't have that experience.
No, listen, it's been amazing. And it's been an experience of my, I mean, it's just been truly great to work on this film. Really, it has.
Elisabeth, do you want to weigh in?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I agree. No, I mean, it is incredibly challenging, and I think even more than I thought it was going to be, and that is sort of what I wanted, was to do something different and to do something that was out of the rhythm and the norm, technique-wise, of what I would normally do. And luckily, I think I arrived about day 55, near the end. So luckily, Claes had gone through 55 days of it, and so he was able to sort of catch me and make sure that I, just felt supported. But Ruben is, it's this search for the truth and the honesty of every scene that you even when you think, I've done pretty well, this is a pretty good scene, I'm doing some good acting here now. Yeah. That's, hour 2, and you've still got 7 or 8 hours left to go. And it's definitely hard and tiring, but it's worth it, I think.
Questions? Over on the right.
Hello, I'm Peter Hall from the Toronto Star in Canada. Congratulations on The Square. I wanted to talk to Ruben Ōstlund about his inspiration for the wonderful randomness of the sound design, the choices behind just a baby crying and a man with Tourette's and things falling over. Like, what made you, you're constantly interrupting your story and your actors with that. And also, could you comment on the monkey in Elisabeth's room? It just, the ape, where that came from?
First with the sound design, then we have been working with a guy that is called Andreas Frank. That is really definitely one of the best sound designers in Sweden. And yeah, sound is a very good way to put in dynamics into a film. I think that's really something that I work a lot with because of that we maybe don't have this conventional dramaturgy to the film. So then sound really needs to be...
Straight from the airport. We have Harry Notary, who plays the role of Oleg. He's a motion performance actor, motion performance artist known for his performances in Avatar and Rise and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Glad you can make it.
Thank you.
Or maybe we're not so glad. Maybe you're a little bit terrified.
I haven't seen anything yet, so.
Oh, then watch.
Ruben, please.
Yeah, but I mean, anything can happen in a movie when there's suddenly a monkey appears in an apartment. And I think that, I mean, I love monkeys. And I think that human being loves looking at monkeys because we are reflecting ourselves in looking at them. And we are seeing someone that is close to ourselves, but we strip down the culture. We take away the culture, and suddenly we have the instincts and the needs just exposed in front of us. And that's why I think human beings always have been interested in monkeys. So, yeah. Every film should have a monkey in it in some way, I think.
I think I got an email from you at one point that was like, so I'm thinking we have a monkey? And I was like, okay.
It wasn't your idea?
Well, sorry?
Elisabeth, it wasn't your idea. I want a monkey in my room.
No. It was not.
But it was a beautiful French monkey that is called Tibu, and it's half bonobo, very peace-friendly monkey. That we shot with for one day in Berlin.
In Berlin.
So, yeah.
But you have to be really careful when you're working with it because it comes with a lot of instructions of how you are supposed to behave around the monkey. You can't look the monkey in the eye. You can't run. You can't sing. You can't do anything around the monkey because it might get really aggressive and kill you.
But that sounds working like working with you, Claes, actually. It's the same.
Yeah. Or I come with a manual as well.
Oh, yeah. I got that one, yeah.
Don't look him in the eye. Don't sing when he's around. Don't run. Super cool. Especially don't run.
Question on the left.
It was fantastic to watch your treatment of indifference on many different levels, especially visually. And could you comment on some of these visual choices, like the extreme white and the lighting and the particularly sublime shots of the garbage, the scene with the dining? There's some moments that are like installation pieces themselves. And the second question goes to Christian. One question I had in this film was, how can someone so empty actually get to a moral change at the end? And I was wondering how you dealt with that. So, and the square, the stairs, that was a square itself also, right? The stairwell formed a square.
Yeah.
That was on purpose. Okay,
Thank you. Well, I think that, we are working with a visual medium and we're trying to express ourselves in a spectacular way so it's amusing to look at it and that the images actually mean something, that we are trying to compose something where the image in itself creates thoughts and like paintings or thinking more like in that way. So And I have been quite happy with, like, the scene in the trash I'm super happy with. And the goal was, of course, to step up the film and make it a little bit surreal. And when you sometimes find these surreal elements and play around with them, they become very visual. But I've been working with a DOP for the second time now that is called Fredrik Wenzel. And yeah, we prepare a lot before the shootings, and yeah. The white, because you know, I've been traveling around, going to many museums for contemporary art, and there's something, an expression that's called "in the white cube" when it comes to contemporary art, and everything. You know, then you walk into a room and then there's like a couple of piles of gravel on the ground, and then there's a couple of mirrors, and that is actually what you meet when you go to those museums. So I think it made the art pieces even more trivial. So yeah, we're trying to attack that world a little bit and make them ask questions about what are we doing, you know? Yeah. Is this really in contact with the world that is outside the walls of the museum, or are we just doing things out of a routine? And do we need to question this convention on what we are doing? And I mean, yeah. So, like, attack that, and I think we can attack also our own world. We can then attack the cinema world and ask ourselves questions of what we are doing. Are we doing it out of ritual, and do we break through that convention, and do we actually say something that is important and interesting, or are we just playing roles? So.
Can you please repeat the question?
Yeah, and this will also, the question will go for you and the director, which is like the main character.
Mm-hmm.
He's empty, so how does he ever get to a moral evolution at the end? Like, how did you find that in yourself as a character?
Well, I suppose if you ask an actor to play empty, that would be a really, really hard task. You need to do something. You need to, so if he comes out in the end empty, I think that's actually very cool and good if he does, but we haven't worked with him empty. We've tried to put him in all these situations and make him relate to the situation, and this is very much the way Ruben works. It's very much, typically a day would start with probably 1 hour of rehearsals and improvisations, and then we'd just start shooting it, and then we'd just do a lot of takes. And at one point, it seems that you sort of lose your consciousness and you lose your will in it in a way, so that the situation just takes over and just leads you. So we've never worked with him being empty, but I actually, in a way, kind of like it. I never thought of it that way, but I like it, and but we never talked about him being empty. And how does he sort of, I mean, do you think he has? Yes.
But the question was more like if he's empty in his moral ways of living his life, and then suddenly he becomes, you know, aware of his. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But I mean, do you think, actually, I think what he just wants is he just wants to find that kid and say, I'm sorry, which is also a very sorry thing to want to do. I mean, you can always fuck everything up and just come and just say sorry. I mean, that's very easy. So in a way, I'm not really sure he's learned anything or become a better person or anything. I just think he just knows that he's kicked this boy down the stairs, and he just wants to say, well, didn't really mean to kick you down the stairs. Are you okay? I'm not really sure he does. I mean, he's not there because he wants to change the world or anything. I think he just wants, what is that called? He just wants, you know, sort of to feel good about himself. That's why he, isn't that,
No, but I agree. I think that, but I look at him as myself. You know, you're struggling with different kind of situation when your morale is questioned, and trying to put Christian in situations when they have to deal with this on an everyday level as well as a quite extreme level. But I think that the consciousness and those questions about morale and things like that, always are having an inner dialogue with ourselves in many situations. And sometimes we do good, and sometimes we do bad, and sometimes we don't know what to do. And I think this is something that is very specific with human beings, that we are super sensitive when we see injustice, when we see an unbalance, when we see something that is unfair. We get very provoked. And yeah, trying to point that out and look at Christian more as a primate, a monkey that is with culture, that is trying to deal with life. And that is this like sociological perspective that I like in my films, instead of building characters around psychological answers, you know, or how do you say, character answers, that this person behaves like this only because he's him. But this person behaves like this because he's a human being, and he's in this position, and the setup around him makes it possible for him to do these things. So,
Terry, how do you get in character? How do you prepare?
Wow. You know.
Could you speak in the micro?
Sure. One of the one of the things that was intriguing on this film for me was working with Ruben, and his he likes to create a space that is safe, and you feel like you can make mistakes, and you're not afraid to make mistakes. And I feel like once I had that freedom, I felt like I was that the mistakes could turn into things and become things, and make it even better than, because he was like, yeah, that, more, yes. And it was like, okay, you know, and you can just give yourself, and you can just disappear into it, and feel like you were being watched by someone who I wanted to give his vision that he inspired me to find in myself, because I felt he was going to be able to paint it well. So I was just putting colors out for him to play with, you know. That's all I wanted to do, just give like different things that I knew he was going to play with, and oh, that's a good little thing I can do, and that's another color I can play with there or something. So yeah, it was kind of just finding that friendship with him, you know, over a Skype call at first, and then the rehearsal, and then and just feeling like you can, when you feel like you can just dive in and not be thinking, you lose yourself, and you can just guide yourself in a thing where you're aware of it, but you're not yourself. It's, yeah. You can kind of lose yourself in that. And that's all
I sort of get the feeling, working with Ruben, that you become, you're just an instrument, and he just actually plays the music through you. Do you know what I mean? In a very good way. That's sort of,
yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was cool. It was a neat thing. It was fun.
But with the monkey imitation scene, I think it was the first day we had a rehearsal, and then we were playing around with this mise en scène, how you should move in the room, and what you were able to do, and looking very carefully at that, and build a lot about that scene around your skill in your movement, and that trying to make it a physical experience of looking at you.
Yeah.
And I would say something also, that we had 300 extras in that room every day, and I mean, Terry had 300 people's eyes on him every time he entered that room, and then
which helped a lot.
Which creates something,
brought the life to
yeah,
it, really.
yeah.
I mean, it was like they were amazing. And I mean, the first day was a rehearsal day, and we just kind of figured out what the story was going to be, kind of what the little, you know, what the feeling was going to be, what the emotions were going to go to, and then when the extras came in, we could just pick and choose, you know, who to pick on, and who to sort of try to bring out the fears and weaknesses in the people that were there. You know.
But we had one very clear setup, and it was first when he enters the room, he should chase away the alpha male and get rid of him. And then when he's gone, it's time for reproduction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like the
Yeah.
the base of the scene. I would say.
Yeah.
I'm so happy I wasn't at work that day. I mean, oh my God. Oh my God. All that anxiety and a real human being monkey and jumping around the table. I don't like that. Keep still over there.
We have a question over here.
Hi, my name is Christian Lindberg from Denmark, and it's a kind of classical question. It's for Elisabeth Moss, and I would like to know what your considerations about that very physical love scene you had with Claes, and how it actually got filmed and succeeded so well. And I'm a big fan. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It was hilarious to film, honestly, because those things are always awkward and sort of uncomfortable. But when you're doing film with Ruben, it becomes 1,000 times more awkward and uncomfortable. Because that's what he's looking for, you know. And he had this idea about looking that the camera was either Claes or I, so you would really get the point of view during sex of what the other person actually looks like when you're having sex, and it's not always pretty. And
You are pretty.
Thanks, but
You look great.
yeah, I'm not so sure, but it's accurate probably. But so we had when I was doing it, I was actually doing it with Frederick, our DP, holding the camera like this, and you know, I'm sort of on an apple box. And we're both just sort of moving and trying to make it look real for like a long time as well. And you kind of just have to let go of any ego or inhibitions you have. And luckily, Ruben does create a safe environment where you do feel as comfortable as you can. And the only struggle was in not laughing as I'm sort of like weirdly sort of gyrating on top of Frederick with his camera, and then he had to do the same and also make love to Frederick.
Frederick was on top of me, going up and down, holding the camera. Yeah. And also, I think, I'm not sure, but I've thought about this. You don't normally get people looking straight into the camera doing love scenes in a regular film. That's only in porn films, I think.
Yeah.
Not sure. I haven't seen that many, but that's my feeling, you know, really. Or yeah. Yeah. Ruben had a saying, almost every day he said to us, nobody's going to leave the set today with any kind of dignity, which was true.
And I was just sort of trying to make Ruben laugh, because you can sometimes hear him laughing from the monitor. Yeah. So I would just try to do things that made him laugh.
Question for Erik and for Philippe. You have a very demanding director. 70 takes are the norm. 78 shooting days with a relatively modest budget, an extremely modest budget given those conditions. And as well as from what I understand, the script sometimes changes, evolves during, Ruben keeps writing during shooting. How do you pull that off?
I think, we started the company together, so we have it together, so we take the risk together. And we have like an understanding. And from the beginning, when we started the company, we were just fresh out of film school, and we decided to, we had an idea that all films were put into the same way of making, and can we make a company that changes like the production to fit the idea? And that has stayed with us. So we just developed a method for that. So I don't think we ever is short of anything. Mainly also because for us it was a big budget, and we had some really good financing from the whole of Europe and also US. So, but I think it's like a method we have worked out. So we don't have like we don't follow any sort of setup for films. We really make it unique for every film. So every film we make has a different production method. So this was the first time we shot all the days, basically in a row. Otherwise, we shot maybe like, we shot 15 days. We had a break and edit and took away scenes and then continued shooting. But it was so we could make it in time for Cannes.
But I can say something about Erik and Philippe as producers that I think is quite unique. I think that we have we redid the mixing on Involuntary after Cannes. We have redone something on every film after Cannes because they really don't say we don't have any money left to improve the film. So there's definitely no limit when it comes to the editing or how long we're going to do those things or when it comes to the shooting. If we need to reshoot something, I think that Philippe is always saying, shouldn't we reshoot this scene? So I think they are quite unique producers that are fighting so much to make the film good. That is really, really, really the goal. And the belief is that if the film is good, then the sales will be good. So it's not an economical idea that we should save money out of the production at all. So I'm super happy about that, of course.
Yes, I think that it is definitely a common element around our cooperation, which is that we all want to make the best film, and that's a very solid basis. And another thing is, I think that you have a small, very dedicated team, so people are quite concentrated for long hours, and that throughout production and post-production. I think, the post-production ended just a few days before Cannes, and we were still exchanging messages late at night.
There's no one that makes me so angry as Philippe does when he comes with the notes of what I should change in the editing. We are constantly fighting during the editing process, and he can have notes like, I think the monkey is overacting. So he goes down into that detailed level when it comes to criticizing the film, and I get so provoked out of it, but it comes something out of it also. I think his stamina is fantastic when it comes to dig himself into the film.
He's overacting.
Thank you. We have a question in the middle.
My name is Ole Kolter from TV2 in Denmark. I have two questions for Ruben. I would like to ask you, why did you choose the guy beside you as the leading part in your film? And to Claes, I would ask you, this film seems to be a film with important issues mixed with humor. Do you consider it as a political film?
Well, we were casting really, really much for trying to find out who should play this character. But for me, it was really when I asked Claes to prepare the speech about the square, because the core for this film is about the square for me, this installation that should remind us about how we behave towards each other. There's a French saying that is vivre ensemble, that is like, okay, how do we live together? How should we live together? And Claes, he wrote a speech about this, and the speech about the square, there's one moment when he says that you can go into the square and you can ask for help. And one sentence he said really, really struck me, and when he says, like, my father just died, and I don't have anyone to talk to. Can you talk to me for half an hour? And when I looked at that during the test filming, I was shivering, and I still do when I hear that sentence. And he did it in such a honest way, and I think he's really. We were talking about it earlier today that Claes has an ability of going into every scene, into every situation, with 100% being honest. I think that's why also the shooting gets very, very hard for him. Because, for example, the press conference that we were shooting, then he really felt attacked also. Even if he's an actor and acting, I think you can see on the outside of him that things are going on in there. He felt human, warm, and still had the ability of doing things that you should be ashamed of. And for me, that was an important quality.
I think the answer about the film being political, I think I think it's actually Strindberg, another great Swede, who said, all political theatre is bullshit, but all good theatre is political. And I actually agree with that, because I think this is not, we didn't set out to make a political statement or a political film with this. But I think the film is quite political, because I mean, it comments on the Western way of life, I'd say, in the blindness that we sort of have when we sort of, I suppose we all think that we're quite good, decent people, we pay our taxes and we take care of each other, and still there are so many things that we just shut our eyes because it's just too much to take in. And I think the film comments a lot on that thing, the hypocrisy of the Western way of life, and in that way, I suppose it's quite political. But it's not. We didn't set out to make a political statement, or did we?
No, I don't think so. I think that if I can add something, just I think that the values of the square, for example, that I think that I've been interested in as the thematic of the film is something that is very, very, very old and have existed since the start of civilization of man, and have been, you can find it in religion, and you can find it also in the politics, of course. But one idea of the film was to step out of that political debate that just is going on from the left and the right side, and really just feels like you want to position yourself as a politician is more the important thing than actually run your politics. So the idea of the square is also like the idea of the film. Step out of that game and start talking about altruism in some ways, you know? You get tired of these political debates when it becomes like, this left, right-wing side throwing shit at each other, and also the same thing with religion. It's so connected with a fight about power and things like that. And so the square shouldn't be religious in any way. It shouldn't be political in any way. And to step away from that was an idea with the film and with the concept of the square itself.
I'm afraid that's all our time. Tack så mycket. Thank you so much. And mailed for the screening.
Okay. Sure.